No, worse actually. We had a really rough night and a rough morning. Very rough, very rough. Seems we are going backwards in sleep, unfortunately. Morning. We were doing okay for a little while, and then we just, you know, slipped down again. Yeah. Yeah. It's just the way of it, I guess, right? Yeah, you might say that. We're waiting for it, Amanda. It's been a while. It's been a while. We'll see. Yeah, literally, Stephanie. Like, literally. That's exactly what it feels like. Yes. Choosing violence, yes. Yes. That is the way of it. Is anyone doing anything fun this weekend? We might go to Costco. Yeah, right, Nikki? That would be a joy, right? That is funny. You're like, really? We got clapping out of this? You're like, okay, well, I guess it's better than nothing. You're like, yay, sleep regression. That's kind of what it feels like, right? I'm having a mini household baby shower photo shoot. Oh, I can't wait to see pictures, Stephanie. I'm so sorry that it didn't work out the way that you had planned. I really am. I was glad I was able to get you some things like way ahead, so it, you know what I mean? It didn't have any bearing on this time. I know that doesn't help with the slime part, but at least with like the clothes or whatever. You know. I can't wait to see it, Steph. I'm really excited for that. Yeah, it is a nice wrap. Our other one is still drying, so we'll have it back on Monday once it's dry. You know, it's just finishing its dry cycle. I hope our Nespresso order comes soon. We are running low on all the coffees, but, you know, I guess what can you do, right? I mean, we're on auto ship. I'm going to try driving again. Broke some bones in my right foot at the end of July. Just given the green light. Wow. Oh, thank you, Bridget. I can't imagine that, Gigi. Oof, cross your fingers. No, we cannot run out of coffee. That's a no. Luckily, there is technically an espresso store at the mall near here. So, like, if the order doesn't look like it's going to come by Monday, maybe tomorrow we'll go over to the mall and buy some in person just as, like, a backup. I don't know. I don't know. Medium, Isabella. I would say medium. How about you? Have you had morning sickness yet? You know what? I didn't have really morning sickness with her either. Waiting for my daughter to get here so she can take over my foot. That's fair. You don't want to get somewhere and then not be able to do it. That would be bad. Walmart and Target have Starbucks pods for emergencies that fit in the Nespresso. We're lucky to not live too far from the Nespresso store, so we could, you know, we can do that. We don't actually have a Walmart anywhere near here. I don't even know where the nearest Walmart is. Like, probably 30, 40 minutes away at best. Target we have, but Walmart, no. Oh, I didn't know that, Stephanie. I didn't even know they made them. But we're actually closer to the Nespresso store than we are to the nearest Walmart. Yes, I do like espresso, and we are a big espresso family. When I order the pods, they get there next day usually. Yeah, we're on auto ship, and they charged me this week, so I'm hoping that they come today. That's the hope, right? I don't know. I mean, I can't say for sure when they're gonna come, but I hope it's today. It would be great if it was today. Okay, let's put the coffee down. And let's, yeah, but I don't think if it's that far, they would bring it. Did you see we're looking for houses in San Diego? I did not, Nikki. Wait, Nikki, for reals? I know, the baby's so big. I did not know that, Nikki. That's very cool. Merle, the nearest store is at least 15, 20 minutes, yeah. San Diego is where Anya lives. My aunt and uncle used to live there when I was a kid. They live up here now. But when I was younger, we used to go down there a lot because they lived in Carlsbad and then Escondido. I actually have a friend who lives in Escondido now. Do you know what part of are you living in like San Diego proper or one of the suburbs of San Diego? They're all beautiful. Really, really lovely area to be. I know her hair is so light now. Oh, La Jolla. Oh, you know, the La Jolla Playhouse is so good. I love the La Jolla Playhouse. Oh my gosh. You can see so many cool things. Yes, she will get a tour through all of Southern California. That's right. The La Jolla Playhouse is great. If you are at all interested in theater and you do end up going near La Jolla, may I recommend being a La Jolla Playhouse member if I lived closer to it and didn't have an infant, obviously, or baby. I guess she's not technically an infant anymore. I would have a membership to the La Jolla Playhouse for sure. We were actually going to get a membership to the Playhouse up here, and then we had her, and it was like, well, let's wait. I interrupted my coffee making to say that I'm close to La Jolla. Yes, it's true. You are. So that'll be fun. Yeah. So guys, we finished that book yesterday, so we're on to book 3. This is the cover of book 3 if you want any previews of what's to come. There's a lot of masks, you know? Well, I guess not a lot, maybe 2. Yeah. Interesting, right? It's called A Grim Warning, grim with 2 M's, like, you know, like, it is a goose, yes. It's probably Lester, right? One would assume. A grim warning like the Brothers Grimm. Yeah, perfect for spooky season. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Can one of you message me? I forgot to log that we finished the book in Goodreads for everybody. If one of you could message me to like log that when I get off of here, I will do that so that we have it. I'm not as close probably in North San Diego County. That's right. But La Jolla's in the north anyway. It's a little bit, thank you, Amanda, I appreciate it. And that we're starting this one, I didn't mark that we did that either. So let's look what we have now. Okay, so now, instead of a map, the last one had a map. This one has a timeline. Look at that. We have a timeline. Huh. Okay, so in this timeline, it's the fairy tale timeline, basically, and then down here is the other world. So the fairy tale world is up top, and the other world is the bottom, and it says basically the fairies discovered the other world during the Dragon Age, which was our Middle Ages, and that's when they travel to introduce the fairy tales to this world. And then the fairy godmother recruits other fairies during the Renaissance. Mother Goose gets drunk and accidentally causes the Renaissance. Happily Ever After assembly is formed during the Age of Magic, which is the equivalent to our Enlightenment Age. And the Eastern Kingdom was then towards the end of that cursed
to sleep for 100 years while the industrial age was going on, and the fairies recruited men like the Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen to help spread their stories. Then the golden age is when Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and Snow White all marry the Princes Charming, and that's the equivalent of our modern age when Alex and Connor Bailey were born, linking the two worlds. So that is where we're at. And this is the Land of Stories, A Grim Warning. Oh, I guess I put the wrong book in the thing. Wait, hold on, let me fix it. Oops. Let's fix that, shall we? Because that's not our book right now. Let's see. Okay, that is fixed. Now you can see the Grim Warning. The pods are expensive, but you get a lot of them. That's the good thing about it. I don't care if anyone buys them. I just put that there because it helps boost the live, obviously. I don't buy them from TikTok Shop. I buy them directly from Nespresso, just so y'all know, because you get 10% off if you're on auto ship. We are on auto ship. Please tell me we get more Torbella and Connor in this book. Well, here's the thing, Steph. Connor is in the other world, and the portal has been blocked. So I don't know how we could, but let's go. Let's read and let's see. Let's read and let's see. The dedication in this book says, oh God, this is so heartbreaking. Oh, I almost don't even want to read it. Because this is before, this book was written in the before times, you guys. This book was dedicated to a lot of the authors he loves, and the first one was J.K. Rowling. Oh, it's heartbreaking. To J.K. Rowling, C.S. Lewis, Roald Dahl, Ava Ibbotson, L. Frank Baum, James M. Barrie, Lewis Carroll, and all the other extraordinary authors who taught the world to believe in magic. When I think of all the time I spent inspecting wardrobes, spotting my second star to the right, and waiting for my Hogwarts acceptance letter, it's no wonder I didn't get good grades. Also, to all the teachers and librarians who have expressed their support for this series and incorporated it into their classrooms, it means more to me than words can describe. But the thing is, when he wrote that, we didn't know she was a TERF yet. He didn't know. Oh, poor Chris. And now it's enshrined in his book forever. Oh my God, is that heartbreaking or what? Oh, poor Chris. Because this is a really good book. I'm sure he feels just like gutted as we all were. Oh, I'm sad for him. All right, well, the quote for this one, no one knew. How can you, this is what, before we start, can I just ask you guys, could you ever read a series like the Harry Potter series and have expected that that was going to come out of the author? Shock. Complete shock. Because it not only taught us to believe in magic, it taught us to believe in acceptance. It really did. I never would have guessed it, you guys. If you had asked me when I was reading that series, I would have thought she was, I don't know. So, you couldn't have, if you would have told me that, I would have thought you were crazy. I would have been like, sure, Jan. I know, dumbstruck about it every day. I know, Amanda, I agree with you. Every day I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you believe that? Are you sure? Because like, you could change your mind right now and we'll all forgive you. Like if she decided tomorrow that she had a change of heart, man, we would all turn it around so fast. I'd be like, great, learning is wonderful, you know? Like we accept people growing and changing. I would love that for all of us so much. It'd be so great to be able to return to it all. But it is what it is. So we have our replacement in the Land of Stories. And here we go. A cover for who knows what. I know she's like 11 toes down, Gigi. She not only doubled down on her quotes, she like triple and quadrupled down on what she said. Like if it had just been the one time and then she backed off and was like, oops, sorry. Yeah, you might be right, Nikki. That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah. All right. Well, let's read a grim warning, shall we? And do our best in the world. Quote, Winston Churchill. You have enemies? Good. That means you stood up for something in life sometime. That's an interesting quote. Yeah, I know, Jen. That's why I don't. The only things of Harry Potter that I will ever purchase currently are like Etsy things and things like that. If I have a friend, I don't personally wear any of the stuff anymore, but if I have a friend who's really into it, I'll like purchase from like a small business or something like that. Um, but I personally don't use any of my stuff anymore. It's really heartbreaking. It's just it's so heartbreaking, all of it, because it was such a huge part of all of our lives. It just, but you know, we get some catharsis here. This is a good replacement. I have to say, this is a really good replacement. You know, would I like to have both? Sure, sure. Do we? No, no. Prologue. Guests of the Grande Armée. I think they are nice. Wait, isn't that true? Didn't we read somewhere that they're making either a movie or something of the Land of Stories? Did I imagine that? Well, that's fair, Jen. Yeah, yeah. I mean, given the situation, especially with your bonus kid. Is it a TV series? Yeah. Okay, Anya sent a post about it. I thought so. I thought we saw something. Okay. Well, prologue. Here we go. The year is 1811, the Black Forest Confederation of the Rhine. It was no mystery why this part of the countryside had been christened the Black Forest. The abnormally dark leaves and tree bark were nearly impossible to see in the night. Even though a bright moon peeked out from the clouds like a shy child, no one could be certain what was lurking in those thick woods. A chill lingered in the air like a veil spread across the trees. It was a remote, mature forest. Roots sank deep into the ground as branches reached high into the sky. Had it not been for a modest path winding through the terrain, the forest would have seemed completely untouched and unseen by human eyes. A dark carriage pulled by 4 strong horses shot through the forest like a cannonball. A pair of swinging lanterns illuminated the path ahead and made the carriage resemble an enormous creature with glowing eyes. 2 French soldiers of Napoleon's Grande Armée rode beside the carriage. Black cloaks covered the soldiers' colorful uniforms so that they could travel in secrecy. The world was never to know what their agenda was tonight. Soon the carriage arrived at the edge of the Rhine River, dangerously close to the border of the ever-growing French Empire. A large camp was being set up, with dozens of pointed beige tents pitched every moment by hundreds of French soldiers. The 2 soldiers following the carriage dismounted their horses and opened the carriage doors. They yanked 2 men out from inside. The men's hands were tied behind their backs as they held black sacks over their heads. They grunted and yelled muffled messages. Both men had been gagged as well. The soldiers pushed the men to the center of the camp and into the largest tent. Even with their faces covered, the bound men could tell that it was very bright inside the tent, and they felt a soft rug beneath their feet. The soldiers forced the men into 2 wooden chairs on the farther side, inside. "J'amène la frère," they heard one of the soldiers say behind them. "Merci, capitaine," the other soldier said in front of them. "Le général sire Benetois là." The sacks were pulled off the men's faces, and the cloths around their mouths were removed. Once their eyes adjusted to the light, they could see a tall and muscular man standing behind a large wooden desk. His posture was authoritative, and his scowl was anything but friendly. "Why, hello, Brothers Grimm," the tall man said with a thick accent. "I am Colonel Philippe Baton. Thank you for joining us this evening." Wilhelm and Jacob Grimm stared up at the colonel. They were cut up and bruised, and their clothing was disheveled. Clearly, it had been a struggle to get them here. "Did we have a choice?" Jacob asked, spitting a mouthful of blood onto the rug. "I trust you're already acquainted with Capitaine Delange and Lieutenant Rambert," Colonel Baton said, referring to the soldiers that had brought them there. Acquainted is not the word that I would use, Wilhelm said. We tried to be polite, Colonel, but they would not cooperate, Captain Delange informed his colonel. We had to be aggressive with our invitation, Lieutenant Rumbert explained. The brothers looked around the tent. It was impeccably decorated for having been assembled so recently. A grandfather clock ticked away in the far corner. A shiny twin candelabra burned on either side of the tent's back entrance, and a large map of Europe was spread across the wooden desk with miniature French flags pinned at conquered territories. What do you want with us? Jacob demanded, struggling against the ropes that tied his hands. Surely if you wanted us dead, you would have killed us by now, Wilhelm said, struggling against his own restraints. Their discourteousness made the colonel scowl even harder. General Marquis has requested your presence tonight not to harm you, but to ask for your assistance, Colonel Baton said. But if I were you, I would change my tone so that he does not change his mind. The brothers Grimm looked at each other nervously. General Jacques de Marquis was one of the most feared generals in the entire French Empire's Grande Armée. Just hearing his name sent shivers down their spines. But what on earth did he want with them? An undeniable musk suddenly filled the tent. The brothers Grimm could tell that the soldiers smelled it too, and they grew tense from it, although no one mentioned it. Tusk, 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 Colonel, said a wispy voice from outside the tent. That is no way to treat our guests. Whoever it was had obviously been listening the entire time. General Marquis stepped into the tent from between the candelabras, causing the flames to flicker and a sudden burst of air. The tent immediately filled with the strong musk of his cologne. General Jacques du Marquet? Jacob asked. For a man with such an intimidating reputation, his physicality was, well, a bit disappointing. He was a short man with large gray eyes and big hands. He wore a large rounded hat that was broader than his shoulders, and he had several badges of honor that were displayed on his tiny uniform. He removed his hat and placed it on the top of the desk, revealing a perfectly bald head. He took a casual seat on a large cushioned chair behind the desk, neatly folding his hands over his stomach. Captain Delange, Lieutenant Rambert, please untie our visitors, General Marquis instructed. Just because we are living in hostile times does not mean we have to be inhospitable. The captain and the lieutenant did as they were instructed. A pleasant smile appeared on the general's face, but it didn't fool the brothers Grimm. His eyes were empty of compassion. Why have you forced us to come here tonight? Wilhelm said. We pose no threat to you nor the French Empire. We're academics. We're authors. There's nothing to gain from us, Jacob said. And the general gave a little laugh and then placed an apologetic hand over his mouth. That's a nice story, but I know better than that, Marquis said. You see, I've been watching you, brothers Grimm, and I know that like all your stories, there's more to you than meets the eye. Donnez-moi un livre? The general snapped his fingers, and Colonel Baton retrieved a large book from inside the desk. He dropped it with a thud in front of the general, who began flipping through its pages, and the brothers Grimm immediately recognized the book. The book was theirs. Does this look familiar? General Marquis asked. That's a copy of our children's stories, Wilhelm said. Oui, the general said, not looking up from its pages. I am a major admirer of yours, the brothers Grimm. Your stories are so imaginative, so marvelous. Where did you come up with all your stories? The brothers Grimm looked at each other cautiously, still unsure what he was even getting at. They're just fairy tales, Jacob said. Some are original, but most are folk tales that have been passed down from generation to generation. General Marquis slowly nodded as he listened. Yes. But passed down by whom? He asked and slammed the book shut. His pleasant smile faded and his gray eyes darted back and forth between the brothers. Neither Wilhelm nor Jacob knew what answer the general was looking for. Well, by families, by cultures, by children, by their parents, by fairies? The general said in total seriousness, not moving a single muscle in his face. The room went dead silent. Once the silence reached an uncomfortably long time, Wilhelm looked at Jacob and they both forced a laugh, making light of this assertion. Fairies? Wilhelm asked. You think fairies gave us these stories? Fairies aren't real, General, Jacob said. General Marquis' left eye began to twitch violently, which took the brothers by surprise. The general then closed his eyes and slowly massaged his face until the spasms stopped. Forgive me, Brothers Grimm, the general apologized with another fake smile. My eye always begins to twitch when I am being lied to. We aren't lying to you, General, Jacob said, but if our stories have convinced you otherwise, then you've given us the greatest of compliments. Silence! The general roared. His eye began pulsing again. You insult my intelligence, Brothers Grimm. We have been following you for quite some time. We know about the sparkling woman who brings you the stories. The Brothers Grimm were completely still. Their hearts were racing and beads of sweat appeared on their foreheads. They had both been faithful to a vow of secrecy for years, but still the greatest secret of their lives had been uncovered. A sparkling woman? Wilhelm asked General. Do you hear what you're saying? This sounds ludicrous. My men saw it with their own eyes, General Marquis said. She wears robes that sparkle like the night sky. She has white flowers in her hair and carries a long crystal wand, bringing you a new story for your books every time she returns. But from where does she appear? That is what I have been asking myself. After countless days looking over the map, every map I own, I must assume she is from a place that cannot be seen on any map. Wilhelm and Jacob shook their heads, desperate to try to deny everything that he said. But how could they deny the truth? You military men are all alike, Jacob said. You've already conquered half the known world and still you want more. So you make things up to believe in. You're King Arthur obsessing over the Holy Grail. Apportez-moi l'œuf, General Marquis ordered, and Captain Delange and Lieutenant Rambert stalked out of the tent and returned a moment later carrying a heavy box wrapped in chains. They placed the box on the desk directly in front of General Marquis. The general reached into his uniform and removed the key that he wore safely around his neck. He unlocked the chains and opened the box, and first he pulled out a pair of white silk gloves and placed them on his hands. He reached further into the box and retrieved a giant egg that was made of the purest gold the brothers had ever seen. The golden egg clearly was not of this world. Is this not the most beautiful thing you have ever laid eyes on? General Marquis said. He was almost in a trance as he stared at the golden egg. And I believe this is only the beginning. I believe this is just a small sample of the wonders waiting in the world that your stories come from, Brothers Grimm. And you are going to take us there. We can't take you there, Jacob said, and he tried to stand, but Lieutenant Rambert pushed him back down to his seat. The fairy godmother, the sparkling woman that you speak of, she brings us the stories from her world to share with our world, Wilhelm said. She's the only one who can travel between the worlds. We've never been there, nor can we take you there, Jacob said. How'd you even get that egg in the first place? Wilhelm demanded. General Marquis carefully placed the golden egg back in the box. From another one of your acquaintances, the other woman who gives you the stories to share. Apportez-moi l'écho de la fée à. Colonel Baton left the tent and returned a moment later, pulling a wagon with bars all around it. He yanked off a sheet covering it, and the Brothers Grimm gasped, because lying inside of the wagon was the lifeless body of Mother Goose. Oh my God, what did you do to her? Wilhelm yelled, trying to stand, but he was forced back down to his seat. Oh, no, I'm afraid she was poisoned at the local tavern, General Marquis said without remorse. So sad to see such a spirited woman leave us, but you know, accidents do happen. We found this egg in her possession, which makes me wonder if this old lush managed to find a way to travel between the worlds. I'm confident if she could do it, that you can do it. The brothers' faces were bright red and their nostrils flared. And what are you going to do once you get there? Claim the fairy tale world for the French Empire? Wilhelm asked. Why, yes, General Marquis stated, as if he had made that obvious already. You never stand a chance, Jacob declared. That world has people and creatures that you could never imagine. People and creatures more powerful than you'll ever be. Your army will be destroyed the minute that you set foot there. General Marquis let out another laugh. Aw, that is highly unlikely, Brothers Grimm. The general giggled. You see, the Grand Army is planning something very big. There are many territories we're planning to conquer by the end of next year. And as we speak, The fairy tale world is only a crumb of the cake that we are after, and as we speak, thousands of French soldiers are being trained, and they will form the greatest army the world has ever seen. I very much doubt anything will stand in our way, not the Egyptians, not the Russians, the Austrians, and certainly not a bunch of fairies or goblins. So what do you want from us? Wilhelm asked. What if we can't supply you with a portal to the other world? The general smiled, but it was sincere this time, his eyes filled with greed as he told them what he wanted. You have 2 months to find a way into this world of stories, Brothers Grimm, Marquis said. What if we can't do it? Jacob said. Like I said, the fairy tale and the fairy godmother, well, they're very mysterious. We might never even see the fairy godmother again. The general's face fell into a cold and malicious stare. Oh, tis, Brothers Grimm, he said. You won't fail, because the future of your friends and family depends on you. I know you will not let them down. A quiet snort filled the tense room, but it didn't come from either of the Brothers Grimm. Jacob looked toward the caged wagon and saw Mother Goose smacking her lips. To the amazement of everyone in the tent, Mother Goose stirred back to life, as if she was just waking up from a long night's rest. Yeah, where am I? Mother Goose said as she sat up and rubbed her head. She cracked her neck and let out a yawn, long yawn. Oh no, did Spain start another Inquisition? How long have I been knocked out anyway? The general slowly got to his feet and his eyes grew in bewilderment. But how is this possible? She was poisoned, he said to himself. Well, I wouldn't say that I was poisoned exactly, but maybe a little overserved, Mother Goose said as she looked around the tent. Let's see, last thing I remember is being at my favorite ale house in Bavaria. The barkeep there was a very generous boy. His name's Lester. He's a sweet man, an old friend of mine. Anyways, I always said I'd name my first child after him if I ever had one. Wait a second. Jacob? Willie? What in the name of Merlin are you two doing here? We've been kidnapped, Jacob told her. These men are planning to invade the fairy tale world in 2 months' time. They're going to harm our families if we don't provide them with a portal. Mother Goose's jaw dropped, and she looked back and forth between the brothers and the soldiers. She was having enough trouble regaining consciousness in general, but this information just made her head spin. But, how did they know about it? They've been following us, Jacob said. All of us, they have your golden egg. They have an army of thousands, and they want to claim the fairy tale world in the name of France. Silence, Colonel Baton demanded of the brothers, and General Marquis raised a hand to silence the colonel instead. No, Colonel, it's fine, because this woman is going to help our friends fulfill this request. After all, she wouldn't want anything to happen to the family Grimm either, would she? He peered through the bars at her as if she were an animal. Mother Goose was no stranger to waking up in peculiar places and situations, but this took the cake. She'd always feared the secrets of her world would be revealed, but never thought that it would be under such extreme circumstances. Her cheeks turned bright red and she began to panic. You know what, I gotta go, she said, and she reached out an open hand, and the golden egg floated straight out of the box and into the wagon where she sat. And with a blinding flash, then Mother Goose and the golden egg disappeared into thin air. The soldiers all around the tent began to yell, and the general remained very still. Determination grew in his eyes as he stared at the wagon that Mother Goose had vanished from. It was the most amazing thing he had ever witnessed, and it had proven that everything he thought was real. General, quelles sont vos instructions? Colonel Baton asked, anxious to know what his next instructions were. The general looked around the ground as he decided. Emmenez-les, he said, and gestured to the brothers Grimm. And before they knew it, the brothers were gagged again. Their hands were retied behind their backs, and the black sacks were placed over their heads. 2 months, Brothers Grimm, he said, unable to tear his eyes away from the wagon. Find the portal in 2 months, or I'll make you watch, as I personally kill everyone that you love. The brothers Grimm moaned under their masks. Captain Delange and Lieutenant Rambert forced them to their feet and out of the tent. The whole camp could hear their muffled moans as they were pushed into the carriage and sent away into the dark forest. General Marquis sat back in his seat, and he let out a pleased sigh as his heartbeat and racing mind caught up with one another. His eyes fell upon the Brothers Grimm's storybook on his desk, and a soft chuckle surfaced from within him. For the first time, the fairy tale world didn't seem like an overly ambitious Arthurian quest anymore. It was a victory that was within reach. The general took one of the miniature flags, French flags, from the map of Europe and stabbed it into the cover of the storybook. Perhaps the Brothers Grimm were right. Maybe the fairy tale world had wonders that he couldn't imagine, but he was imagining them now. I know, it's really good, Noah. It's really good. You'll love it if you stick around for any of it. So that was the prologue. Let me get a sip of coffee. She's still asleep, so we can try some more. Shh, shh, shh. I spoke too soon. I said she's still asleep, and then here she is awake.
Are you awake? Hi, baby angel. You want to sleep or you want to play? Hi. What do you want to do? Hello. Boop. Boop. Boop.
You think that's silly? Is mommy so silly? Is mommy so silly? Oh, don't grab mommy's glasses. Okay, let's look and see how many pages this next chapter is. It's kind of a long one. Since she woke up, I'm thinking maybe since that was prologue, maybe since it's Saturday, we pause here and we, oh, that's good. I got marks all over my face. We will start the book proper on Monday because that allows us to like get into the meat of the story, you know, for the week. So I think that's probably good. So we'll do that. Somebody and I will go to the farmer's market, right? Do you want to see if Dada wants to come with us to the farmer's market? Should we go get Dada and go to the farmer's market? Yeah, I think that way we'll, cause that's the prologue and then we go, you know, do that. But I will see you all later. Thank you for joining us for that amazing prologue. I think that prologue was phenomenal. I don't know about you guys. I love that we're getting to meet new characters, including the Brothers Grimm, huh? Yeah. Is that exciting? And we met the Brothers Grimm. I love it. And I'm glad Mother Goose is okay. She really wants to see Stream Mommy. Oh, perfect timing. Well, there you go. So I will see you all later. I'll get everything updated for our, if any of you are not friends with me on Goodreads, make sure you add me because I have a whole playlist, that's the wrong word, shelf for all our book club books. Okay, all done. We're all done. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.